Hello! Welcome to Greg's Channel 1. I'm Greg. This is Channel 1. We got another Doctor Who video coming your way from my nice chair here out in my garden. So, I've got 12 people who I would love to see play the Doctor. I know I said 8 in my mini update video, but as I was working on, the initial 8, more names jumped in my head and I went, right, I've reached 12, stop. So I've stopped at 12. Made a nice little graphic of all 12. So, yes, we got them going from here all the way around, and we'll go through them one by one. So, we'll start off with the first one on our graphic, which is this gentleman up here, who is Chris Marshall. Now, Chris Marshall is one of those actors who, whenever there's a new Doctor being speculated, he's always at the top of that list, and people go, it's going to be him this time. It's going to be him this time. And out of my 12, he's probably one of the only ones that probably will take the job, if it's offered to him. And judging by his age at the moment, he's 47, and I think that we're probably going to end up keeping Jodie until Doctor Who becomes 60 years old in 2023, to which by that point, Chris Marshall will be 50. I think he'll be quite I think he'll play on the, accidental goofball, so the villains don't take him seriously. Next thing you know, he's whipped out, his Sonic, or he's whipped out his master plan, defeats the villains, job done, thank you very much. I get the feeling that will probably be how Chris Marshall would play him. Personally. I would quite like to see him. Let's move on to my second in this list. Ben Daniels. So, Ben Daniels is known for, or at least the thing that I know him best for, is Law and Order UK, playing a barrister. I can't remember the character's name because it's been quite a while, but he was able to command a presence. And then I saw him in House of Cards, where he played a travelling artist who was having an affair with Claire, I think. Anyway, he just naturally commands the screen. He grabs you and goes, "This is my scene now." He's just got that presence which the Doctor always needs. And if you watch any of his stuff when he's in Law and Order UK, you'll see what I mean by him just grabbing the scene and go, right, now let's get serious. I could see him being quite a confrontational Doctor. He encounters the Sontarans, and the Sontarans, are being Sontaran. They're leading. They're causing mayhem, and Ben Daniels' Doctor just squaring up and going, "You want to play a game with us, do you? You want to take us out? Take your best shot." I can imagine him, delivering a line like that. Take your best shot, because when you do, you'll lose. And I could just imagine, an aggressive Doctor with him. And I think as long as he doesn't go around strangling his companions like Colin did in his first... As long as we don't get him, threatening companions, unless it's, if you don't want to be here, you can leave. I think he'd be quite good. And I think if he was to be the Doctor, he'd be one that would soften over time. He'd start off direct to the point, and through his time with his companions, he calms down a bit. He's still direct, but he's a bit nicer. Jumping on to the next person on our list, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, when there was rumours, that Lady Doctor was going to happen, and before we got Jodie Whittaker show up, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was a name that kept coming up. She's known for Fleabag, is the thing that I know her for. She's much like Ben Daniels in the way that she commands the presence. She grabs the audience and goes, "Right, let's go." And I think she'd be quite sassy, and I think she'd be quite fun as a doctor. I get the feeling, she'd be the one, kind of, whilst Davros is kicking off, a speech, she just sat there leaning like, "You done? Brilliant. Right. Sonic that. Throw that over there. Get the hell out of there. Cause a trap. Boom. Bye-bye Daleks," kind of thing. I feel like, as a Lady Doctor, I think she'd be a pretty damn good choice. Moving on. Number 4. Richard Armitage. I could see him doing what Eccleston did, because Eccleston was doing loads of real serious stuff, and then he did Doctor Who when he became the Ninth Doctor. I could see that being something that Richard Armitage does, and so we see a more playful side of his acting range, because I think he's that good an actor he could do it. I could see him becoming a mentor kind of Doctor. You get a young actor, someone in their late, early 20s, who stumbles into a situation where Richard Armitage is, gallivanting, and he picks up a young companion, much like a Sylvester Seven and Ace dynamic, but he's less manipulative of the companion, like Seven was with Ace. Probably. That's just me. I think Armitage would be fantastic. I mean, he's getting older now. He's 48, so he'd have not long turned 51, maybe, at this time of being in the 60-year anniversary. But it would be a dream casting for me. Moving on, we have Ian Glenn. Now, everyone will know him as Jorah Mormont, or something I prefer to think of him is Jack Taylor, where he's a private eye, former guard, police, who solves things. I think if you wanted to do a lonely Doctor, a Doctor who commands it on his own, and building up to him collecting a companion, in the build up to him eventually regenerating, you build him up for a season where he's confronting antagonists left, right, and centre, but he's doing it on his own, and it's eating him up. He longs for the companionship. You then give him half a season, the last half of his time. So, say he does 2 seasons, or does a Eccleston and does 1. Half the season he's on his own. The second half, he collects a companion, and then has his goodbye. Now, that would be how I would write an Ian Glenn Doctor, but that's just me, and I think he'd be fantastic for it. I mean, granted, he is the oldest actor on my graphic, at 58 at the moment. He'd have just started turning 60, so he'd be a lot older, which could work, theoretically. I mean, we have had older Doctors, so it could work. Right, we're now halfway through. An actor who out of most of these actors, there's only probably 3 that I could see actually taking the role. Chris Marshall is one of them. My next choice is another, and one towards the end of the list. But let's jump into this choice, which is Adrian Lester. Now, Adrian Lester is someone who I think a lot of Doctor Who fans would love to see play the Doctor. I think he's very much in the way that he he's the kind of Doctor that would work with a companion that that will call him out. And I could see him being that kind of Doctor where it's, he's makes mistakes and struggles to learn from it. I get the feeling that would probably be how I would feel his Doctor would be. A Doctor who thinks he's got all the playing all the right cards, when really he's made a misstep, and constantly building up a kind of... I get the feeling he'd be quite a badass Doctor myself. Diving right into my next choice, Ruth Wilson. Now, she's known for Luther as Crazy Alice, and I would want, as a female Doctor through her, I'd quite like a kind of crazy lady Doctor who's very much almost a female version of what Sylvester McCoy's Doctor was like. She taunts the villain into a trap, and then when the villain is there, like, please spare me, it's, you took the first move, so no. You attacked us. You don't deserve a second chance. I could see her being you get one chance, you don't get a second chance. If the antagonist strikes, she'll take him out. And she's got one of those kind of voices that I could imagine, playing with a master character. You have a master who is like, what? And if you were going to do a female Doctor that would struggle with maybe a influence of the Valiard, maybe the Valiard somehow survived what had happened to him in Big Finish, and he starts, trying to root his claws back in. I could see that working with a Ruth Wilson as the Doctor myself. Moving on, we have Vicky McClure. Now, Vicky McClure, I think, is brilliant. She's the way she plays Kate Fleming in Line of Duty. She's very ballsy, and I could see her being that kind of Doctor. She's a Doctor that, it's like, are you sure this is going to work? Nope. But what other choice do we have? Doctor, companion being like, Doctor, this could kill us. Yep. Well, it might not. Think of it that way. I could imagine it being that kind of her being that kind of Doctor. Companion's like, this is a risky move, and she's like, I know. What choice do we have? Exactly. That's just how I could feel that kind of Doctor, and I think Vicky McClure would work for that kind of thing. Moving on, Killian Scott. Now, Killian Scott, I know him mainly from Jack Taylor working with Ian Glenn, one of my earlier choices. He's quite a young feeling Doctor, and I get the feeling he'd be that kind of Doctor that would be almost, he's struggling with this younger body, because obviously the Doctor keeps regenerating, etc., etc. And he's in a younger body where, he's struggling to deal with all the loss as a younger character. And Killian Scott he's really charming, I find. If you watch him in Jack Taylor, he's really, really charming as Cody. And I could imagine him being quite a charming doctor that lures you in, and you're constantly there hoping he can win. Okay? You know what? No, I want you to win. You can do this, Doctor. We believe in you. And that's just me. Moving on. We're nearly there. Matt D'Angelo. Known mainly for EastEnders. He also did a story in Doctor Who audio, I believe. I think he was in like an 8th Doctor story, I think. Playing a side character, I think. And anyone that's really, really well-knowledged in Big Finish that is watching this, let me know, because I'm pretty sure you probably know that Matt D'Angelo was involved somehow. But I could see him play the Doctor. He's the youngest on my list of actors. I could see him being a cheeky, chappy kind of Doctor. Almost flirts with the villains. You know, you've got the Cybermen threatening him, and it's very much, before you upgrade me, you got to take me out for dinner. That kind of, much like how when he first started in EastEnders, how Dean Wicks and Dino initially was, or like his character in Hustle. Weirdly enough, something else that Adrian Lester's from. He was young, he was fun. And I could see him being that kind of Doctor. My last two, one that she was one of the first people that pumped into my head when I was thinking, who would I love as a new Doctor? And it was just Jill Halfpenny. Jill's just got that kind of smile that makes you think she knows what she's doing. And, you can trust whatever she tells you. She'd be the kind of Doctor that I could imagine going, this might get us killed, but you gotta trust me, right? Or, a companion is in a situation, it's like, do you trust me? And the companion's like, yes, that's all I needed. Come on, let's run. And I think she'd be pretty good for the role. And I said in my mini update video that there's a Doctor, there's an actor that would probably never take the role ever, as much as I would love it. And that is the one person who you've probably seen on my graphic every single time and gone, when's he going to bring her up? Hayley Atwell. Now, Hayley Atwell for me would be the perfect lady Doctor to choose for the future. I think she is just naturally charming. She's got that kind of presence that she'd be the one that would lure you in, make you join her, and then she'd take out the antagonists whilst looking good in the process. I could see her being the kind of Doctor that takes down the Silurians. Brushes the hair back, and it's very much a kind of, if only they'd listened. And then just, catching the eye of her companions. I think she'd be someone who could make a 3-person TARDIS team work. She's probably one of the few that could. I mean, out of those choices, the only people who I think that could cope with a 3-man TARDIS, like what Jodie's got. I personally think Jodie works alright with it, and I think it works Miss South. But out of these that I've chosen, the only ones who I could see making it work, Adrian Lester, Hayley Atwell, and Vicky McClure. Everyone else I think would work with maybe one, maybe two, or companionless. Like how I think that if you were going to give Ian Glenn, you have him companionless for, if it's 2 seasons, you keep him companionless for a season and a half. Yeah, you give him a companion that last 2 episodes maybe, and the companion is taken away from him. Because he sells grief very well. Chris Marshall, give him 2 companions and let him be the comedy that pulls the other 2 in. But that's just me. My opinions are my opinions. If you let me know what you would, who would you love to see? Who do you think would work? What do you think of my choices as well? Let me know. Comment section below. Click like, subscribe, comment, thumbs up. Do all the stuff. And I'll see you next time. I've got a video coming up probably within the next couple of days, which is my favourite companions. I got a list of 8 rather than 10 because I thought, make my job harder and go for 8. And I'm going to stick to it this time. I'm going to stick to 8. These are my top 8 companions who I love regardless. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I've already told you, but like, subscribe, comment, do the things. And I'll see you next time. Bye.